Everything bros, talking everything bros. You already know that anything goes with the Everything Bros podcast.
Hi, and welcome back, everyone, to the Everything Bros podcast. My name is Tony, who claims to be the tallest bro.
I'm Will. I was supposed to be the tallest brother.
And I am Matt. I am actually the tallest brother.
And I think today's topic needs no introduction, except one simple word: adulting. For every 20-something-year-old, this is very, very complicated and hard to deal with, so we're going to talk about all the intricacies. And as always, the oldest bro is going to kick us off.
You know what it's just so frustrating is that I feel like if I'm not working, I'm just cleaning. I feel like I'm always cleaning all the time. That's all my free time is spent doing. Or other random stuff like going to get my oil changed or doing laundry or making sure I have like food to eat.
So what about cleaning? You mean like cleaning your room, cleaning yourself, cleaning
Literally everything.
everything? See, my biggest problem is the kitchen, like, because that's something where you have no choice. Like, you all use the kitchen in some capacity, so you just are in a constant state of I need to clean the kitchen.
You all meaning like you and your roommates. See, I live alone, right, and I feel like it still gets just as messy whether I have or don't have roommates.
I absolutely despise with every fiber in my being cleaning the kitchen. Like, I love cooking. It's so fun. It is legitimately one of the most fun things I do. And it's fun when you make something really... Yeah, I love cooking. And
cooking's awesome, dude.
Yeah, and when you make something delicious, it feels so good and something healthy. But then, once you're done and you look at the sink... and there's
just horrible.
8 pots, 30 mixing bowls, all coated in flour and grease, baked on.
30 pots.
Why do you have 30 mixing bowls?
What do you mean, dude? You're by yourself. Who are you cooking for? A village? I don't understand.
Dude, sometimes I get a little ambitious and I pick recipes that take like 30 bowls. And I really should stop it.
Do you even have 30 bowls? How old are you? 20-something?
I had to buy them.
You bought them just to put
I buy so much just to cook.
You know what's the biggest lie that anybody's ever told themselves who cooks for their own is the idea of soaking dishes. Like, oh, let me just let this soak.
No,
and then I'll get to it later. But it is okay. It is an effective
trick.
It is an effective way to get like stuff that's really caked on. You know, like if you accidentally like have that pot too high and you're cooking something and you get like the little bit of burnt stuff, like that's great to lift all that stuff up. But I feel like it's turned into this just lie that we tell ourselves that we're going to, because procrastination feels so good. It just feels good to say like, yeah, I'm going to get to this later and then just absolve yourself of that responsibility.
First off, the soaking thing is a necessity if you are at the level of chef like me, who sometimes
rice and protein.
When the rice is boiling a little bit, the water's boiling a little bit too long and there's rice in there. Sometimes the rice gets burnt and it gets left on the bottom.
I think that's a you problem.
I
just don't know how to cook rice.
Do not tell me, with all of our experience with rice, that you burn rice on the bottom of the pot.
I'll tell you what, no, I don't think it's because I'm bad with rice. I think it's because I do it so often. I'm eating, 3-4 pounds of rice a week. Like we're going through rice, so that sometimes I leave it a little bit too long. But to your point about about like leaving the dishes, there's got to be like a certain kind of person who's like, it's like the type A versus type B. There's a person who, once they're done cooking, they instantly wash their pans, versus the type of person who like, I'm going to go enjoy my meal first. And I'm definitely that person.
The move is to definitely clean them as you're cooking. That's the move.
No.
What?
No,
what are you talking about?
If you're being a real responsible adult, yes. But if you're...
I have one pot. I have one, other pan that I cook, my ground turkey in. And that's it. So I can't, I'm using both my things. And I have to use them both for every meal, pretty much. You know what I mean?
Here's a question. Are you guys, do you guys hand wash dishes? Or are you a dishwasher fanboy all the way?
I don't have a dishwasher, so
Oh,
quick
oh.
quick
That's rough.
answer. That's
That's
why
rough, buddy.
especially I hate doing dishes. I don't have a dishwasher, so
I love my dishwasher. I didn't use it in undergrad, but since grad school, I use that thing religiously, like every time I can, and everything I can put in there, I try to.
It's really an
Use the
underappreciated invention for sure, is the dishwasher. But this is the whole point of what I'm trying to get at. You know, we got a little bit of a tangent with Matthew's 30 bowl meal that he's creating, which I'm
Still
very curious
ridiculous.
I'm curious what he's actually trying to cook. But it legitimately just feels like I'm always doing something. There's always something to do. Like I'm a teacher. We're on our spring break right now. And I feel like I still have things I need to get done. You know, my car just passed 100,000 miles. I'm like, I should probably get that thing checked out just to make sure it doesn't break on me one day. And there's all these things that I have to constantly think about. Or laundry. Oh, don't get me started on laundry. Or the fact that if you work a normal, you know, kind of 9-to-5 job, if we're gonna call teaching a 9-to-5 job, which it isn't, but you know, a Monday through Friday job, the Sunday, you know, supposed to be your weekend, your day to relax. The Sunday is like your reset day, the day where you have to do all this stuff just to be ready for the week. And if you don't, you're just completely out of luck and there's nothing you can do.
So I mean, that gets in a interesting idea of like how you use your free time, I guess, and free time being defined as not doing work. Because I mean, as a full-time student, like that the lines between that like 9 to 5 kind of blur. So you're working all day, so you gotta have to find those times to like do laundry. And I don't know anybody who doesn't, once they've done clean laundry, leave their basket out for a little bit. I think I have.
I have to do it right
the
then.
number
and there.
of days varies.
I have
but
to.
I know everyone who does, like, in some way, shape, or form, leave it out for a little bit.
Oh gosh.
I think it's really funny that you just say that too, because right now my current setup is literally just 2 hampers. One for the clean,
Oh my god!
and when it's dirty, it goes to the next hamper.
Oh, you move hampers.
Well, once the clothes are dirty, it goes to the next hamper. Yeah, and then I wash that.
Oh,
And
so
that's the
it's-
clean hamper, and then the
it's-
other one's the dirty, and then you switch.
Wait,
That's
it's
genius.
clean, worn, then dirty. Oh,
So there's
it's
always
clean,
one-
then it's worn on my body, and then it's dirty.
oh, worn on your
So
body,
there's
not like worn
always
anywhere
the
else.
dirty hamper
Well,
is always the same hamper.
Preferably.
Are we just gonna ignore that?
No, wait, no. I'm trying to understand. So the dirty hamper. So if hamper A always has dirty clothes and hamper B always has clean clothes, or do you flip flop them?
Why do you have to be such a scientist about this?
Do you know what I mean?
Well, no.
Well, because
they stay the
it's
same.
important.
They
Because
stay the same because I don't. What's in the clean hamper, I don't always wear before I do laundry. So I'll
Naturally.
take the dirty. Well, like if it's like a sweatpants in the summer, I'm not gonna like. I wore sweatpants last week, but it's warm this week, so I'm not gonna wear it before I do laundry.
it's important because I don't want you. If you, for example,
You sound so concerned.
hamper A is clean this week, and you use up all the clean clothes, and then you start putting dirty in there, like, are you telling me you flip? I would lose. I don't want you to be that person who loses track, and you're just like,
I'm
oh yeah,
not
I'll
doing
just
This
wear
is
it."
where wait. This gets to a whole nother conversation. What about clothes that are? What is the threshold for worn but not dirty? This is what I need to understand.
You mean like you've worn
Okay,
a
so-
hoodie once, and then it's not dirty enough?
Like a hoodie. You got a t-shirt
Yeah.
underneath. You're just around the house. It's not dirty.
It's not dirty enough.
It's
not
not dirty
dirty.
enough.
A hoodie is clean until you notice it's not.
Or you spill something on it.
That's
Yes.
a good threshold. That's a good threshold.
A hoodie, same thing with jeans. It's clean until you notice it's not.
I do it by half days. Like if I wear something for a full day, it goes in the hamper. But if it's a half day, that like 4 hours or something, it goes into a pile on my closet. Because I can't fold it and put it back. No, it's not clean enough to put
I
it.
just imagine Tony with like a stopwatch for expiration on his clothes when they reach the
I
threshold of
wear
dirty.
2 watches, one for
30.
what daily day, and the other one's
Oh,
like
we're
how
at
many hours.
36 hours and 1 minute. Looks like this one's dirty.
But really, I mean, like some things you don't have to wash as rigorously. Like you're wearing a
No.
t-shirt or something like all day. That's different than if you wore like a jacket for 2 hours. Like
So
you're
what
gonna
we're
wash
saying
that.
is What we're saying is Matthew needs an intermediate hamper. That's what he needs.
That's
Well, I
he calls
mean,
my
if it's
bed.
not going in the dirty, it goes back in the clean.
But then how do you know? Do you just keep a
If it's
mental
not
tally
go-
of
Wait, hold on. Say that again. If it's not going.
Well, you're saying like if I wore a shirt for like an hour or something for I don't know whatever reason, and it was still clean, I'm not gonna throw it in the dirty. I'm just gonna throw it back on like top of the clean and just put it on tomorrow.
Oh, so you put it back with the clean. You don't have like an inner like on your bed or something. You know what I mean?
Well, I sleep there, so how am I gonna?
You move it. Okay.
But where is it
Well-
gonna go while I sleep?
Tony? Are you a dirty clothes on the bed type of person? Because if you are, I hate you.
So I have no. I'm not a heathen.
Okay, good.
What
Okay,
happens?
I
got
feel
that out of the
personally
way.
attacked after that, but go ahead.
What happens with my intermediate one? Like, say I've worn a jacket for like an hour, and I'm not going to put it. It's not clean enough to put hung back up, and it's not dirty enough to go in the hamper.
Right, you still have
It-
35 good hours with that
At
jacket.
35 good. Thank you. You know what I'm talking about.
I got you.
You know what's up.
Exactly.
It goes on my bed, and when I go to sleep, it goes onto my chair, and when I wake up, move it from the chair to the bed. The same process. You don't have. Wait, you're telling me that you guys don't have like a pile of stuff that goes transferred from your bed to your desk back and forth every day? You know what I'm talking about?
No, I
Oh,
don't.
no, I absolutely do. I
Yeah.
absolutely
See,
do.
what is in your pile that you?
So
move
clear-
back?
You can
clearly-
see it. You can literally see it behind me. I have like papers that go from my bed to my desk or chair, whatever has more
And what are
room.
those papers? No, describe them to us. I want to learn this.
One of them was for my debit card.
There you
Which, by
go.
the way, another thing about being an adult that I never expected. I never thought when I was like 16 that I would be so excited to get a new debit card. And I really feel really sad knowing that I felt excited about that.
It's the little things.
I got
No,
one
but
of
I
those.
have, like my debit card paper and like my wallet and keys and a few other things that I just moved back
See a
and forth.
pile. Will, you don't have this? You don't have like a pile?
I do not have a pile. I am pileless. If
You have a
if
real.
that's-
You're a real adult, I guess.
I am. I feel like I have to be. Speaking of being a real adult, when was the last time you guys went to the doctors? When was the last time you had a general checkup?
I getting real personal on us. I had one last.
Yeah,
year.
future doctor.
I had one last year. I
Had
think
one
I'm
last
up to
year.
date.
A personal checkup I think was a few months ago, but like a doctor's appointment was like
Well,
last week.
is your
was
question
like
when
a
the last time we went to the doctor, or when the last time we had to schedule our own doctors? Is that the difference?
I guess those
Yeah.
are two different things. Because I will tell you one thing. I mean, I think scheduling doctors and dentist appointments are two sides of the same horrible coin, having to get that figured out. One of the nice things though is that when I finally got around to actually scheduling a dentist appointment, when you go to your appointment, they understand this. They understand how we young adults work. They schedule the next appointment at your previous appointment, which I'm sure they've always done, but I've never noticed because for most of my life that was always scheduled for me. But now they say, yeah, here's this appointment, and 6 months later, there's your next appointment. I put it in my calendar. We're good. The doctors, though, I have not seen in a while, and I know I should, but
It's
I haven't.
but it's like an anything, because I think people in our age group, and I'm especially prone to this, is like I would much rather deal with an online form than calling you. And
Yeah.
that it makes it so much easier, and a lot of places have adapted it, but a lot of places have not adapted this. For me, for example, trying to go like to the mechanic and get something checked out on my car, a lot harder to do that online, so you got to call in ahead.
I just want to say, like, this isn't doctor related, but if there, like, anytime there's, like, some, like, thing, whether it's, like, I don't know, like a restaurant or something, oh, whatever, where they need you to call, I'm not doing it.
Yeah,
But you
calling
just
is
wouldn't-
horrible.
You wouldn't
if,
go.
If it's a restaurant, like, I'm like, all right, I guess we'll pick somewhere else. Like, I'm not calling. I'm not gonna do it.
So say you got like a first, you're on like a date or something, and you'd be like, oh yeah, we want to go check out this place. Like, do they have online, reservations? No. Yeah, it ain't that
Yeah,
cheap. We gotta,
sorry,
can't do
we
this.
gotta go to the pizza joint up the street.
The same
Yeah,
one I've been
calling-
going to.
I
Yeah.
used to have a job in food service where we would take orders by the phone, and I swear whenever the phone rang, I just went the other direction. I think is something too that is of our generation. and of people our age becoming adults is we do not like to talk on the phone. We just don't like it.
It's gotten easier with time though, because sometimes like
True.
like there's some things I'm just like, I don't want to text you for 8 hours. Like just have a 30-minute phone conversation. We'll catch up and I'll do, you know what I mean? Like I'm busy. I got to do other stuff. I can't text all
I am
day.
the kind of person though that as I've become older, if I'm texting someone and it becomes a thing where it's like, gosh, this would be easier to call, I will call. I am that kind of person. I know there are people that hate those kind of people because most other folks would rather you just text them. But I'm like, if this is going to be a calling type of conversation, I'm calling.
Dude, no kidding. I have so many memories of you just calling me. I'm like, why is he calling me right now? What are you doing?
Sorry.
No, but
Will
like
is that
I don't
one
know.
friend.
Maybe it's just me, but I prefer like if it's something that like takes like a few hours over text. I don't know why. I just prefer that over like the 30-second or like the 2-minute phone call. I don't know why. Like it's just like texting is so easy for me. Like it's like, okay, yeah, all right, cool. And then I continue on with my day, you know?
So it's like when so it's just when it's, you're calling, you're texting a friend or something is okay. But when you have to, call for something important like an annual checkup, you're like, nah. You gotta have an online thing where I'm not interacting with anybody.
Yeah.
Have any of you had the experience of texting like another adult? I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this question. Where you've had to, no, that's not what I'm saying. But when you had
have
to
you ever
text somebody,
texted another human? God, I don't know what that's like.
It's really hard. But do you know the when someone's texting you and it's someone who's like much older or an authority figure, and they text, I swear they text like it's an email. Have you ever had that experience?
I've had the exact opposite where I've gotten an email where it's reads like a text.
Yeah.
I was going to say the exact same thing. Like one of my professors I have on Discord, and sometimes I'll email him, sometimes I'll just message him on Discord, and I'll like, like when you like are messaging your professor or like anyone who's like above you or whatever, you write out an eloquently wrote paragraph and you use all the punctuation you need and like you say it so correctly, you proofread it like 30 times, and they're like, all right, cool, sent via iPhone, like in response.
I love those.
So demoralizing.
And here's the boss I currently work for. I mean, he sends emails from his phone. It's no problem, but he's smart. He has edited the sent from iPhone thing, but he's even like what is it? Like he's just so much smarter and involved than all of us. And his thing doesn't he didn't just get rid of sent from iPhone. His thing says, and I have it pulled up. It says, iPhone, I typos, I apologize. And that's his signature. And I'm like, this guy's a genius. Like
that's
he's figured it out.
IQ stuff, man. Holy
right?
That's amazing.
I had a professor in college who had something similar, but it said something. It said, sent from iPhone. Please excuse any typos, misspellings or whatever. But that's some
iPhone.
That's some
I typos
stuff.
And it's funny. I first read it and I was like, "What the heck is happening? Did he type this himself?" Like then I realized that it's a signature. Can you imagine like typing iPhone ... I typos ...
Oh, there's an ellipses in between each of them.
You bet your bottom that there's an ellipses between each one.
That is so weird. Yeah, I always feel, especially, it's so hard to, in some ways, to talk to adults. Even though we're adults, there's this weird energy about trying to communicate with someone who's 2 or 3 times your age, and yet is also potentially considered your quote unquote equal. And I experienced that talking to other teachers or administrators, and I tell them, or it gets brought up somehow, how old I am. And I cannot tell you how many times I heard this, I'm old enough to be your mother/father. I'm like, that makes me feel better about the position that I'm going to be entering.
Ew.
Like what part of this is helpful? I understand that it's them trying to make light of the fact that they feel old. And if anything, it's kind of become a fun little joke. But I don't know, when you first hire a young teacher and the first thing they say is, I'm old enough to be your mother, that's a weird energy.
I know, dude. That's so funny because, like, when I worked in grocery stores, like a common thing would be I was a cashier at one point, and there'd be other, real adults who were cashiers, and I'm like, oh my god, like, yeah, you're like 30 years older than me, but you can't tell me what to do. We're making the same amount of money right now. Like, you can't, you don't have anything on me right now. We're equals. We are in the same boat, whether you like it or not.
But now both of you have said this, and I want you to define this. I'm gonna go to both of you as well. This is fine. You've said like real adult or true adult. Is it what's the definition here you're using? Is it just they're older, or do they got something else going on? Matt, you just said you're in the same position.
Well, like, I'm 20 years old, but I'm not I'm an adult, quote unquote, by the legal stature of the United States. But I don't know what that meant. I don't.
That was good. That was good.
That was great.
I don't pay my own car insurance. I don't know how to do my taxes. I still don't really understand how I get paid from taxes every year. And like I don't know these things.
So it's a knowledge thing, you think? It's a knowledge thing that defines
I
true
think it's a
adult.
knowledge / experience thing, yeah.
Will,
I
do you
also think-
concur?
I think it's partly the amount of true independence you have in the day-to-day functions of your existence as a human being on this planet in this country.
Okay, in
But-
layman's terms, please.
But sorry, was this not supposed to be a serious podcast?
There you go.
But I think it really comes down to, I mean, listen, I'm the oldest, so I have experienced the full gambit of going from high school to college to then, having a real job. And I consider my job to be a real job. I have a salary, I have a 401k, I have health insurance. I pay for pretty much all of my bills. I mean, there's some things that just like it gets covered through our parents, but for the most part, everything
Family
is
plans,
yeah, it's cheaper to have your phone on a family plan than paying for it individually. It is what it is. But I would say that the real versus fake adult, I think, does play into the you turn 18 and then, sure, by like the judicial system that if you were to commit a crime, yeah, you're tried as an adult. But I think that bears no resemblance
better
to
than
what
Matthew's
it's like
definition.
to be, I suppose. I think it doesn't have any resemblance to what it's like to be an actual adult. When you have real things, I think it's the level of responsibility you have for yourself and those that are immediately impacted around you. If we're going to be serious for a second on this podcast.
Really quickly, my definition was fine. I just didn't go under the assumption that you were a criminal.
He's got a point, Will. Do you got something you want to...
There are no monsters in my closet. Thank
Yeah,
you
if
very
I
much.
committed an incredibly heinous crime, I'd probably be tried as an adult, but I still don't know how to
Do my
write a
taxes.
check. Yeah, I don't know how to write a check, but
You know your FBI agent's listening now. They turned you on just
Yeah.
now. And so I think it's better as interesting definitions of like true adult, like either a knowledge base or like what you pay for sort of thing. I think there's a certain point when you start to realize, like, I think I've realized this more in grad school, where like you kind of get like the professor student relationships a little bit like more
more blurred.
easygoing than
Yeah.
undergrad, where it's like clearly an authoritative figure. It's not as much so. They're still very respected, don't get me wrong, but they, you interact with them more than you did before, or like other adults, maybe even in your workplace. So it's like a different relationship. And I think from that, what I take away is nobody really knows what they're doing. Like, it's just a little bit, a few more things maybe when you get older, but many of them are like, yeah, I have no idea how to do
I think
this.
everybody is trial by fire for sure. I don't think anybody walks into the everybody hears it, the real world. Nobody walks into the real world having it all figured out. I think everybody's writing their own stories as they go along. And really, the best way I've found to put it is your life is told in chapters. And we're all just experiencing this longest chapter in different sections, and we have different things going on at different times. I think you're 100% right. I don't think anybody's got this whole thing figured out in terms of how to be a person.
I think something that perfectly encapsulates that is, we procrastinate, and it's like, it's like commonly a young person thing, but I cannot tell you the amount of times that I have had submitted a syllabus or assignment, or even just like the simplest assignment that would take 5 minutes to grade 30 people's, and I don't get that grade back for 3.5 months.
So you think they recurrent procrastination from your prof?
Yeah, exactly. Like it would take so, even I'm like, dude, it would take so little effort. Just give me my points. But they don't do it. And so I'm like, no one's above that just because they're older. It's a matter of your experience, and it's a matter of knowing yourself.
I will say, give your teachers a break as a teacher who is trying to even input the simplest grades. So it's a challenge.
That's fair. That's fair.
So
Although, how hard is it to grade some colorful pictures?
Okay, I guess that I can't speak to. Let's shift gears a little bit, because we've spent some time talking about a few different things on adults. So let's be a little bit more lighthearted. How do you guys feel about bills? How do you guys feel about having to pay to just exist?
There are. I'm gonna take this in a different way. Instead of saying, "Oh, yeah, I hate them," I think that I've learned that there are some things I'm willing to pay premium for.
Oh,
And there are some things that I will like, yeah, I'll buy generic. Like, I think
Such
college,
as?
previous college me, like really like young, like I only have, so much money to spend on things, but I would buy generic everything. But there's some things you got to get, I personally find valuable and bring joy to my life that is a more premium price.
so you're not just talking about like bills, like electricity, gas, whatever you have to
Right.
pay for just to keep the lights on, but just in terms of your costs of being, living, like, in terms of food, rent, whatever, enjoyment spending.
Let's take an example. Let's take an example and make this easier.
Go for
And
it,
this is something that's really pregnant to a lot of people, especially with the online world, Wi-Fi, right?
Ooh,
So
that's a
you
good one.
can get by with a super basic Wi-Fi plan and whatever, but if your job, for example, requires you to have, pretty good Wi-Fi, something I'm willing to pay premium for. And let's say like Matt, a good example too, like you're playing video games a lot and things like that, things that require Wi-Fi. For me, I run a lot, so paying premium for a pair of shoes is well more worth it. But then again, that's a much more personalized thing, and I've come to terms with I'm gonna pay premium on this.
I will say paying a lot for internet is like one of the only bills I'm okay with, because I have a vivid memory of my friends wanting to play a game that I didn't have installed. It's an 85 gigabyte game. In 25 minutes, I was like, all right, it's done. Let's go. And that was one of the best feelings. I'm like, yeah, that was worth the $100 a month I spend on this internet.
That goes into the whole thing of your time is so valuable as a person in the 21st century that even just that time saved is such a huge thing, and you're willing to pay a premium for. One of the first things that I've lived in my current apartment and housing situation for 3 years, one of the first things I bought was a really nice and premium router and a separate modem.
Yeah.
And those two combined have just changed the game. Like, I forget sometimes what it's like to have bad internet, and that just completely changed the whole game for me. But you're so right, Tony, that there are some things that you just should pay a premium on. I mean, you could get the really cheap, generic, like food items, even if you're buying groceries. But the other thing that as you get older, and we're not old by any means, but health and wellness is also really important. And I guess that can also tie into another thing about being an adult, which inspired this whole topic, was a TikTok that Tony saw about having to pick every single thing that you're going to make and eat for an entire week. That I think it's worth spending the money on certain things. Everybody's got to pay for electricity. Everybody's got to pay to keep the lights on. But those premium things, or your necessities in terms of what you need, is really important.
And I think too, like going off of that, is that especially the food items thing, like when we're ranting about being adulting and like all this bad things that you have to kind of do, or more like chores that you kind of have to do but you don't like to do. One thing that's really nice is that, let's take food items for example. I get the freedom to choose what I'm gonna eat. If I like this kind of rice, I'm going to buy this kind of rice. There's like my preferences take into account. And I mean, as a person who just pays for myself, it's a little bit different, where I can choose get what I want. not a good cook, but whatever. I still get to eat what I want, sort of thing, you know?
I will say that freedom is also a little dangerous. Because then I'm like, yeah, I can get like the food I want to eat. I can be super healthy. I can do this, and then I just like take my shopping cart and I see the cookie aisle. And I'm
Pizza
like,
rolls.
oh my god, they have triple stuffed Oreos, and
Oreos,
I
man.
lose it.
Every time Oreos.
It's those Oreos, man. You know, that's the thing. I feel like everybody goes through a phase like that sort of independence craze
Yeah.
where you're on your own for the first time and you just the rules seem to dissolve.
What's
they're just-
something here, and I'm gonna follow this up, and I want you to answer this first, Will.
Oh,
So
go for
what
it.
is something? What is one of the first, like when you start, like got your first paycheck, like early on? What is
Ooh.
like first ever started to get like your own money? What is an early thing that you bought that you regret buying? That little independence craze that you got, but then messed up super early. I can start. I'll actually start. I'll give you guys a second to think about this. So
Yeah, I got to think about
when
that one. I don't know.
when I got my first like little bit of money, kind of, and like not doing a crazy job or anything, but I really wanted at the time. I saw like not sandal, but they're like toe shoes. You know what I'm talking about? It's like sockless toe shoes, and I'm not talking like all 5 toes. I'm talking like 3 toes, and there was no socks, and they
Wait,
had like
how many toes do you have?
no, but like the shoe had three
Three
slots. Your big
segments,
toe, your
okay.
second, and then like the rest of your toes were
Oh,
in another slot.
there are groupings of toes. That's what we're implying.
That's
here.
how the shoe
Gotcha.
was, and it had a
Okay.
mesh that like what you wear them to the beach was the idea, and I thought they were the coolest things ever. I think it ran me like $40 or something, and I just remember ordering them on Amazon, getting them, being so excited, and then our mom and dad just looked at us like, "When did you get this?" And I was like, I made money. I can get it. And they're like, yeah, you should talk with us next time you order something. And I don't have them actually anymore. I don't know what
There's
happened
so
to
much
them.
buildup. There's so much buildup to this consequential purchase, and it's $40 3-toed shoes.
But
I
it's
know.
completely useless. You got something? Go ahead. What is yours?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I had different points where I got a big paycheck before. I mean, if we're talking my teacher job, I think one of the things I had to really think about and figure out was moving and just getting into a location where I could successfully be in this place. And I don't know. I think one of the things that you never realize, no, I got something. You know what I realized was really expensive was just all the little bibs and bobs that you need around a home. You know, like
Yeah.
a shower curtain or a toilet plunger or a rug. You know, like when you walk in, you don't want all the crud from outside to just trail all the way through your apartment. Or then you realize you have carpet and you have a cat with long hair and you have to vacuum. I remember spending hundreds of dollars on at Meijer for all of this just stuff that you needed. I don't know if I would call that a consequential purchase or something that I regretted necessarily, but it was definitely this is real.
You didn't account for it, sort of.
Yeah, these are when your parents say, no, you cannot have this toy because we have to pay for other stuff. When you're a child, you have no sense of scale of what that means. And then all of a sudden you just realize, oh, they were right.
Yeah, like you realize, oh, I just blew my entire paycheck at one Target trip, and it was like, oh my god,
On things that you don't even want.
yeah, and dude, like it was so bizarre. Like,
I don't
you just
want a
said
plunger.
You just said the toilet plunger thing. I never, like, when I became an adult and when I got an apartment and when I moved in, I never thought I could be angry about a plunger. I hate, like, I was like, I never thought there was, like, good and bad plungers. And I'm like, I want, like, the nicest plunger on earth because I'm like, this one sucks. It drives me crazy. I felt like such a dad, like, getting angry about something around the house. Like, I'm like, if this plunger doesn't work after 4 pushes, I'm going to lose it.
I think the
we have to
larger
break
question.
this.
Yeah, we got. Whoa.
We have to break this down.
What kind of scenario are you in that you've put yourself in, that you found
This
yourself
is my question. This is
where
my question.
where you need like the Apple product version of a toilet plunger? What kind of situation are you finding yourself in? Because that's what I'm curious on. But here's to unrelated to that. because I think that's a rhetorical question and I don't want the answer to it. Unrelated to that is even things that are so silly. Like, how does a bathtub get dirty when all it has running over it constantly is soap and water? You know, like, you got to clean a bathtub every so often because it just gets gross.
I don't think you understand the point of a shower. I think, or a bath. The point is to get the crud off you, and sometimes it doesn't always.
No, not me. The shower itself, it just gets dirty.
Oh,
and the water is just running over it constantly. It's little things like that. I think that goes back to the kitchen
It drives you
getting
insane,
dirty,
right? You're like,
It
I
does.
keep this clean and it's still not clean. And I'm like, now I gotta go to Target and buy a $30 garlic press for some reason. And now I'm just angry because I spent $30 on something I'm gonna use
Those
once.
those things add up too. At Target, man, you
Yeah.
scan one thing, it's like $4.99. Then you scan another thing, and it's like $12.59. And then you scan a third thing, and it's like $85. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Where did
tell
that
me
come
about
from?
I think the thing that we're beating around the bush with is that as an adult, the best store you can, get well acquainted to is Target. And I think I've only recently discovered how amazing everything at Target is and what you can. I bought sweatpants from Target. I went in there to buy like hand soap, and I left with sweatpants and other like clothes. I never brought clothes from there. I'm getting everything from Target now.
I don't know if I would
Yeah.
get everything from Target. I have found that for home, like general home upkeep things, that Meijer is really good. That's the other thing when you become an adult is you find
It's
all of a sudden,
Yeah.
like you look at like the one local grocery store and you're looking like, oh man, that's really a lot of money for a chicken per pound. And then you put it, you all of a sudden get those preferences to stores and you're like, oh no, this place has the best vegetables. And you go to that store instead.
This
Yeah.
place has the best vegetables.
I think
I
you just
gotta-
find your preferences in that way. But that also comes with what your shift in responsibility and what you find important in life. When you're young,
Mhm.
the most important things to you are very trivial. Where when you get older, the things that you thought were trivial all of a sudden become really important. And yeah, it's expensive or it's a pain in the butt. But I think at the end of the day, being grown up and being an adult is great. You have so much independence. You have so much possibility with what you can do. And I don't want anybody to walk away thinking, man, it just really is terrible growing up. So there are things that are a huge pain, but at the end of the day, it's pretty all right. And with that, we are going to end this third episode of the Everything Bros podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Hey, by the way, that intro and outro music you heard was by Mike Harrison. Mike is an awesome friend of the podcast. Please go follow him. He's at Mike Makes Music on Instagram. He's got some really awesome stuff, and we really appreciate him going out of the way to create us some awesome music for the podcast. And hey, we're always still looking for topic ideas or maybe even questions. So please feel free to email us at everythingbrospodcast@gmail.com. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to drop a comment of anything you'd like to hear the Everything Bros talk about, because on Everything Bros, anything goes. Thanks so much, everybody.